Hi friends, we're a few weeks into Apex Legends Season 26 now, and so I thought it's a good time to do my seasonal meta video to help you understand what the meta is looking like, and hopefully that helps you feel more comfortable in your games, and hopefully it'll help you win more. The Legend meta is a good one to start with, and as normal, I use the Legend pick rates to help guide us on what the meta is looking like. A big thank you to apexlegendstatus.com for these stats. First, let's look at the top 8 pick rates overall. Interestingly, you can see Ashe remains as the #1 picked legend. Same as last season, which is interesting because normally legends in first place tend to switch around when you've had some new buffs. I guess the thing is Ashe was already so strong last season and they haven't really done anything to nerf her in Season 26. And therefore, she's still a very strong legend, hence why she's still the #1 pick. And you'll notice it's not even close percentage-wise. And I guess that's just because her dash is still one of the strongest abilities in the game. If we move on to second and then third place, you can see a few movers here because Bangalore has stepped it up this season to be the second most picked legend. It's not surprising because she had one of the biggest buffs in Season 26 and she's now a very strong counter to a lot of other legends, particularly to controller legends. You'll also notice in third, not far behind Bangalore, is Caustic. Again, no surprises here. Along with Bangalore, Caustic had one of the biggest buffs for Season 26. And that includes things like his gas doing more damage, plus he's now the only legend that can have all 4 upgrades unlocked if you earn enough research points. Just behind these two you've then got Sparrow. This one's a good one and interesting one to see because, as you'll know if you're an Apex Legends fan, typically when we get a new legend join the game, they tend to drop off in the following seasons after they join the games, but that hasn't happened for Sparrow. And I can only assume a little bit like Ashe, it's because his abilities are so strong. And to be fair, I've also been playing a lot more Sparrow than I have my normal main Loba. You'll notice Lifeline is still in the top 8 as well, which is good to see. She's not as high as she was a couple of seasons ago, but still in the top 5 is decent, and she's also the only support that makes the top 5. Again, I think it's just down to her abilities, and she's just such a good team player. She's even useful in Wildcard to get those revives off, although I swear no one actually revives in Wildcard, but maybe that's just my random teammates I get. Rounding out the top 8, you can see Wraith, Pathfinder and Alter. 3 movement legends which, to be honest, at least with Wraith and Pathfinder, there have been very few seasons when Wraith and Pathfinder aren't in the top 8, so it's no real surprise seeing them there, and Alter is probably not a surprise to also be in the top 8. She's very useful. I'll show you some interesting stats later on in the video around ranked, and you'll get to see how the top predators are picking Alter. I think she's just useful for the team. Again, all 3 of these guys are useful for getting in and out of tricky situations. It makes them useful for ranked, but also fun to play in pubs and wildcard. I'll just finish by showing you the rest of the pick rates. Unfortunately, a lot of the legends that have struggled in past seasons are kind of still down near the bottom. So you can see the likes of Catalyst, Seer, Crypto and Rampart all still down there near the lower pick rates. For now though, you can see what the pick rates are looking like so far, and therefore they're suggesting the meta is edging towards those top 8 picks through Season 26. I always say stick with your main because you're likely to perform better if you're sticking with your main. However, if you're feeling your legend just doesn't fit with the current meta, and you feel like your games aren't going well, maybe it's worth trying out what the meta is suggesting with the top 8 here in terms of pick rate. So that's the legend meta. Let's finish by talking through the ranked meta. You'll know they've changed the ranked points this season, so you essentially get less points for kills, assists and participation compared to last season, plus some of the entry costs have gone up. I have made a separate ranked points video, so if you want more details on that, do check that out after you watch this. What that means is for the meta though, a lot of people are saying it's a ratting season, and they might not be completely off when they say that. There is definitely a difference to the approach people are taking towards Season 26 ranked, and I believe that is because of the change in the points, but also because of the new POI assignment. There are no more hot drops, you're probably not getting loads and loads of kills off drop anymore, and you're probably finding teams playing a little bit slower because of that. It's worth pointing out, compared to the earlier ratting seasons we had, in seasons like Season 17, 18 and 19, there is a slight difference, particularly because in those seasons, the KP was different, but actually they'd also put up placement points. This season's different because they haven't actually put up placement points. I mean, they have for a couple of ranks, but generally across the board, while they've lowered KP, they haven't really adjusted or increased placement points that much. And essentially, yes, that means the meta for ranked leads to slightly slower games, particularly as you get up to those higher ranks. And that's also led to a bit of a change in the ranked weapon meta, in the fact that a lot more people are using snipers in ranked now, a lot more charge rifle users, a lot more sentinel users, and even marksman weapons being used, things like the 30-30 repeater and the G7 scout, also very useful long range additions. And I actually think in terms of weapon meta, the 30-30 repeater is kind of a slept on weapon this season, but I really think the weapon meta is going to pick up the 30-30 repeater more, and you'll see more people using it as season 26 progresses. So keep a lookout for the 30-30 repeater in the weapon meta, at least for ranked, because with the integrated hop-ups, it's a very strong weapon now. I'll also throw in with the ranked meta, it feels like there are a lot more third parties early on with the new POI assignment, is because it means teams kind of know where you are. So when you're landing, you'll notice those red drops on the map, and that simply tells you where the enemy teams are. Now, if you're an aggressive triple stack or you're just good at looting fast, that means you're going to be able to pick up your weapons quickly in your assigned POI and know exactly which POI to push to get an early fight. And we're seeing in the meta that's kind of becoming the season 26 equivalent of a hot drop in ranked. However, following that, you'll probably then notice the game slows down a little bit as it becomes a bit of a race for teams to find places in the next zones. And that means you might find a lot more on the move fights as opposed to you moving into a POI and then taking a fight. A few stats I've not shown before, and these just help add to the ranked meta scenarios. You can see here the current pick rates for the top 5 predators, including Phony and Rambo, who are currently 1 and 2 in the leaderboard. Of course, they're pro Apex players, so no surprises they're so high up in the predator leaderboard, but you'll notice in their pick rates, if we tie that back to the pick rates I showed you earlier in the video, even the top predators are following that legend meta of picking Alter, Ash and Sparrow more frequently than any other legend, and you can see that's helped them with the ranked meta to get to the top 2 places and the top 5 places across these stats. So if you want to take some inspiration from the top predators, there's the ranked meta for you. Hopefully this gives you a better idea now across the meta in season 26. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you later.